Welcome to the Piece by Piece Autism Podcast with your hosts, Angie and Christy. They've worked 25 years to help Alec get the most out of life. Let them tell you how they're doing it.
Welcome back to Piece by Piece Autism Podcast. We're glad you are joining us again today. We are going to discuss how Alec landed in Utah, kind of the path in how his family decided to get him settled here, and when and why, and the evolution of it all. So I will say Alec is a great advocator for himself, and with his way of communicating, we were able to kind of get some input and buy-in from him as he watched siblings go off to college and get married and kind of do life. He's the youngest of four, and he was kind of waiting and itching for his turn in moving on with life, right?
Right. Yeah.
So give us a little bit of background here, Christy.
Okay, I will. I want to say a little bit about why we decided to suddenly, I guess it wasn't too sudden, but what caused us to start thinking about getting him in a group home setting.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the last thing on my mind that I thought I would be thinking about, because it's like he grew up overnight and he was starting to want to do something different, like his siblings, like you said. And I kind of wanted to see, while I have a lot of energy and I would like to see him be established in wherever he's going to be living long term.
Yeah, for sure.
While I can oversee it and make sure it's going well and all that. So that will be settled. And he had gone to camp in Colorado, and he had been able to see a group home setting firsthand. And he was excited whenever we gave the possibility that he could live there. And so that was kind of our first foray. We had looked into group homes in the area of Dallas where we live, and we went and toured, and they were nice. It was fine. It wasn't exactly what I was hoping for. So a friend and I started trying to start a group home there in North Dallas, and eventually decided that it wouldn't be a good match for Alec. And so we kept just kind of looking, and we ended up in Colorado for a while, and he lived there and for about 6 months, and we tried it out and found that it probably was not going to work long term for him. And so my husband and I just sat down and started doing all kinds of pros and cons, the way that a lot of people make decisions.
Like you do.
And one thing that we did was this kind of, my husband loves to do these really involved charts. And so on a chalkboard in our house, he drew this big chart, and we made little categories of, how we were making our decision criteria.
Right.
And then we number rated everything. And we found that Utah would be a good place for Alec to be.
Yeah.
And at the time, we had a lot of connection to Utah because of our extended family on my husband's side of the family. And both of my children went to school in Utah for college. And so we've always had kind of a connection to Utah. We traveled back here for some summers, et cetera. So we always have kind of, had the connection. So it felt like a place that we were connected to. And so that was good. After our research, after our charts, after our prayer, after our inspiration, after all the different things, we looked and saw that Utah had great outside access. Alec loves to be in nature. We've talked about that before. We have a perpetual workforce here with the universities. His house is located in between the two universities that are here, and it just creates this wonderful workforce.
Yes.
So that has been really, really nice. And we have really good neighbors that he also goes to church with. So they know him really well. And they've been, they've approached him with open arms. They have been so sweet to him. And so it just made sense that we would come to Utah. And it seemed like after we made the decision, everything kind of fell into place. It's not that it hasn't been a massive learning curve
Yes, huge
for,
undertaking.
yeah, for Angie and myself, primarily to figure out how do we run a group home because we've never done it before. Now we did, I have done a ton of research on it.
Hmm.
And because I visited one of the oldest group homes in the country in Ohio. And I've very extensively looked into other group homes in different cities throughout the US. And I think I know what, well, I know that I know. What do I think I know? I know what I want. And so just getting the house to that point and getting the things that I think that Alec needs for his growth and development and happiness, we found in Utah where he is. And I
Yeah.
think that it was a great choice. I mean, at the beginning, I was a little bit like, oh, did I make the right choice?
Yeah, it
But
definitely wasn't an easy choice.
it wasn't an easy choice. And Angie and I were just talking about this recently that sometimes for your children, you have to make choices that aren't your very favorite thing for yourself, but
Hmm.
it's the right thing for your child. And so it was the right thing for our child. So
Yeah.
that's what we did.
Even though there's difficult days for you as a result of him being maybe away from
Yes.
your home, it's still, it's now been proven that this is the right place for him.
Well, yeah, and
So,
it feels like now this is his home
right.
and that's kind of heartbreaking because your last child, has flown the nest and it feels like, oh, I thought he was going to be my perpetual child. And while he still is, he's definitely got some independence from
Hmm.
us, even though he's totally dependent on people to get throughout the day. If that makes sense, that's kind of an odd
Yeah.
way to look at it.
Yeah. It definitely is true, though. You've been able to see him make strides in having ownership and success and being independent with the support of and care of those that you entrust to do that for him.
Right.
So I visit Utah monthly to check in with Alec. And I mean, obviously, in deciding that Alec moved to another state, because I reside in Texas myself, things like overseeing a team and managing things was a consideration in deciding how that would work. So we had to kind of sort out what that would look like, how often, how would we keep tabs from a distance. I know Alec has had consultants who have checked in from out of state in the past, so that wasn't totally unique to this setup, but we've definitely been able to problem solve and kind of make that work. And we've had and gained a good amount of experience from his time in Colorado, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yes. I mean, the people in Colorado were so generous with us in being able
Yeah.
to share like anything from the financials to anything they could help us with. We have a great relationship with them and we're still friends. We just went on a trip to Lake Powell. We met them down there with a caretaker for his roommate who he had in Colorado and it was just like nice little reunion for them. So
Yeah.
they were generous in helping us figure out how to do the home for Alec in Utah. And I
Yeah.
and I do want to add I am in Utah usually half the month.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I
You
I
split your
am
time.
here, but it's really hard for me those other 2 weeks that I'm not there.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't even out to most of the time it doesn't even out to I'm here 2 weeks and I'm there 2 weeks. So that's kind of a bummer. But
Again, one of
um,
those things, like you were saying, it's hard for you, but you know it's best for Alec to be settled.
No, I totally agree with you on that.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it
but
is nice. And I know he's happy. So it's good.
yes.
It's good.
What in your decision making were some of the drawbacks or things that made this difficult, aside from obviously the state lines separating you, you know?
Yeah, I think one of the things that Alec expressed to us whenever he got here was we were saying, what were your concerns? Because we know he had some anxiety whenever he first moved here. And one of his big things was, I'm afraid you're going to forget about me. And we didn't forget about him when he was in Colorado. So I just, that was on his worry list, and that's okay.
Mhm.
I mean, we
Fair
validated that
enough.
worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we validated that and said, oh, yeah, okay. Thank you for letting us know. We're going to make sure that we visit a
Hmm.
lot, and we're going to make sure that your siblings come to visit because he is close to each one of his siblings. And so they've all expressed a desire to keep up with him and spend time with him. So all of them make a good effort to come and visit. And then Alec does come down to Texas, as we've talked about in other podcast episodes, that he does do that. And that's part of the hard thing too, is like it is he coming home when he comes to Texas, or is he going back home when he goes to
Yeah.
Utah? It
Yeah.
feels it feels more like Utah is his home, and that's where his routines are established, and that's where he really feels the groove of life. And so, I'm learning to accept that, and that's just the way it is. And
Yeah.
that's okay. And it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So,
You want him to be
yeah.
established and his routines and his day to day is definitely there, but
Yeah. I mean, we talked about during COVID, it was a little bit hard because
oh,
I
that
I
was
was down
difficult.
in Texas and he was here. And so we had caretakers that were very sweet to move in with him for the 2 week, whatever it
Hmm.
was. And then
Hmm.
I was on the plane with when planes only had a few people on them. And
Yeah.
it was very odd, and flew back up here as quickly as I could. And that was hard, but
Yeah.
I mean, that was very unusual. So
A wild
it's
time.
feeling like, if he's sick, I want to be here. And sometimes I
Yeah.
can't just get here quickly. And so, yeah, that's hard. But it's also like we've worked everything out. And it's so nice to have Zoom, and it's nice to have FaceTime calls. And he's pretty good to just sit down and do a FaceTime call if we need to do that.
Yeah. Those are my favorite
Yeah. And
surprises.
we've done some telehealth, and Angie checks in on him. And so it's like we have been able to stay really connected. But yeah, it's a drawback, just the miles that were separated because
Hmm.
the siblings, two of them are married and have children. So it's hard for them to get away as much as I would like them to.
Hmm.
I wish they could come more often, and then it's also hard for him to be around the whole extended family. So I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just, it's just a
Always
tough
pros and
thing.
cons. Always
Yeah,
pros and
it's
cons.
a tough thing to juggle. It really is.
What
So
advice would you give a parent who is considering or maybe starting a pros and cons list for their autistic child?
I think, I mean, I think you have to first kind of decide what are your goals for your child, and is your child able to express goals? Like what are you wanting? Because our son has become more and more into having a more robust leisure part of his life. And so like the downhill skiing is really important to him, and he's been able
Hmm.
to do a lot with that, and we've got a wonderful ski instructor as we've talked about who keeps him hyped on that and keeps that practice up. And being outside today, he went on a hike, and he loves just being out in nature. I got some beautiful pictures of him, and you could tell how happy he is just being out there walking and just enjoying the sunshine and the nature and the exercise. And so I think just figuring out, what does my child need? What can I provide? What options are out there? And really get the options down so you know what they are. And I think there's a lot out there. You just have
Yeah.
to you just have to start digging, just start getting online, figuring out where, you know, what is available. And then again, I'm going to say, we pray about things. We believe in getting inspiration about things. There's also gut feelings. There's whatever your belief system is that helps you guide you.
Mm-hmm.
We have relied so heavily on that for how to shape Alec's life. And we pray with him. And I think that's a big deal. And
Yeah.
it's really been super helpful with that. And then I also think if you're going to have your child someplace, wherever that is, that your child goes and is part of as much of the decision making as that child is capable of being.
Right.
With us, we can't overwhelm Alec too much or he gets some anxiety. So we
Mm-hmm.
have to show him that we've really thought things out and we take information to him and say, we really think this is a great decision. And then he can give us his input. And I think always we want his buy in, his input, his thoughts on
Good or bad.
everything,
Yeah.
good or
Yeah.
bad. And we want to hear the bad and we want to hear the good. And then we would love for him to be as much a part of the decision making as we can.
Yeah.
And then I also think long term. Like for us long term, we think it would be a nice place to be long term, to be in Utah as we start aging. I mean, I'm already aging, but you know what I mean.
You're a spring chicken. What are you talking about?
Oh, yes. I'm just a sweet little young lady. Um, so anyway, that is an important thing to consider.
Yeah.
Like
Where do you want to end
if
up?
you set him up somewhere near your home, is that a place where you're going to be?
Mm-hmm.
Because we have to remember that transitioning for our children is such a huge challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And for Alec, transitioning him back to Texas for Thanksgiving or whatever, we have to think of all those different transitions and how we're going to handle those
Yeah.
and make them successful for our family and for him and for his health. And so that I think is that too much advice, Angie?
No, I think that's great. Um, I guess my last question that's been mulling in my mind is, do you have any regrets, like hindsight looking back? Is there something you would have done differently? I've not asked you that one.
That's a great
Yeah,
question.
this is going off the cuff here.
You're totally going off
I
script.
know. I'm sorry.
No, no, no. I love it. I love it. I love it.
But I'm just
You
thinking
know,
as a listener, making these really grandiose, large decisions, they're
yeah,
weighty and they're not made overnight. And this hasn't been, I mean, even your decision to move him to Colorado was obviously a tricky one, but then to transition him home into what we've set up now.
I think I have zero regrets about Utah.
Good.
Isn't that weird? I mean,
No, I
decision.
mean, it's not like they weren't informed decisions to get
Yes,
him here. You maybe had
yes.
regrets. Obviously, Colorado didn't work out, and that's okay. We learned a tremendous amount.
That's the
And
thing. Is like everything that you do gets you to the point that you are now. And
yeah,
so, like, as I thought about Colorado, I'm like, I have warm and fuzzy feelings about it. I love
yeah,
that. I love that area of Colorado. I love all the people that we met, most of the people that we met. I loved a lot of the, I loved a lot of the professionals that we met, just were such sweet people.
yes,
And the fact that I feel like it was where we cut our teeth, where we learned so much. And I'm
yeah.
really, 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 really grateful for it. So grateful for it. And so I really, I'm really happy to say I don't have any regrets about
I love that.
Utah. I really
Yeah,
don't, because he's so happy and his seizures are managed. And there's just so many things for him here. And I've just been so grateful for the group of people that care for him. I
Yes,
have a
yes, yes.
lot of confidence in them. We've had a lot of good groups of young adults that have come through the house that have taken their jobs so seriously. And I'm grateful to you that you have stuck with them and that you've been willing to come up and supervise things, and that we've had other professionals that have been willing to come to Utah
Yeah.
and do that. It's been a real great thing for us. And
No,
so
it's
that
such a fun job. It's amazing. I was in my last trip here just a few days ago. I said to several of the team, I'm just doing my normal check-in, but he's so settled. Our team right now is so well established, trained up. Like there's not necessarily one person more than the next that like, oh, this person really
yeah.
needs some help in this area, or oh, this one's really struggling here.
Yeah, they're strong.
There wasn't that this time. More than I don't even know how long ago that's been. I was like, man, like life's really boring, which is how you want
Now,
it in some
don't
ways,
say
right?
that, Angie. Let's knock on some wood or something here. Come on. We can't, oh, we can't
No, I don't
rest
want
too
to. I don't.
much.
Okay, there's my
Yeah, knock
desk.
on wood. Here's mine. No, I mean, looking around at that group of people, they were so pumped. This is how great they were so pumped because we decided to get each one of them a superfoods bowl. We love these acai bowls that we can
Oh,
get up here. If you're
sounds
ever in
so good.
Utah, please hit me up on I'll DM me. I'll tell you where it is. And you can put my phone number in so I can get points.
There you go.
Just kidding. Anyway, they were so pumped because we told them we were going to get them an acai bowl for this meeting. You would think that we gave each one of them, $100 or something. They were so excited. Each one of them responded quickly and told us their order. And we all just sat around in Alec's kitchen and ate these acai bowls. And I was just glancing at each person going, man, this is such a great group of people.
Yeah.
That's when it makes me feel really happy that he's here. And I know it's just, this may be just for a moment. I hope this team lasts for a while because they
Yeah.
are all in sync in such a good way.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
They're fantastic. We've
no
had
regrets at all.
so many fantastic team members over the years, and so many that keep in touch. And it is a genuine, deep connection that they really quickly have with Alec.
Well, and we got to remember our one that said he was not going to stay in touch. He told us that.
Yes.
We said, oh, we're so sad that you're leaving. Wait, have I already told the story?
I don't think so.
I don't care. It's worth telling again.
It's totally worth telling
He
again.
literally said, I'm going to be leaving this day. And we said, oh, we're going to miss you so much, but you'll stay in touch.
Because he lives in Utah.
Because he lives in Utah. And he goes, no, I won't.
Probably not.
No. History has shown that I don't really keep in touch with people. And I was speechless. I did not know what to say to that. That was so funny. But guess what? Guess who we got a call from?
Mm-hmm. Not
Just
too
a
long
few
ago.
weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
We just love him. He's adorable. And he came right back to see Alec. So that was really heartwarming for a person who obviously he doesn't keep track with people like that.
He was
And it
just being
really,
honest.
really sweet of him. Yeah. I love the honesty. I think it's great. But so he didn't set me up for thinking I was going to be in touch with him.
Yeah. Then it was that much sweeter when he showed
So
up.
sweet. I
Oh,
love
that's
it.
so funny.
And he's such a busy guy. So we felt fortunate to have him. Yeah, it's a special place. We're lucky to be here.
Yes.
And I know there's many group homes here. There are many group home systems, and if Utah's your dream, there's a lot of group homes to look at here.
Yeah. Just like you said, look into all the options with the parameters and expectations you have for your child with autism, as well as what your future looks like. So,
And there's an autism center at Utah Valley University.
mm-hmm.
So if your child's young, it's a beautiful place. We have visited there often, and it's got some good stuff going on.
Yeah, it's a great campus.
Yeah,
For
and
sure.
their dream is to branch out and do more with adults. because the family who started it, their child is a
Mm,
young adult now. So I think there will be more coming up
I'm sure.
for young adults.
I'm
That'll be
sure.
exciting.
As there
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah.
So, well, excellent. We hope that this decision making process that Christy and her family took to get Alec where he is today is helpful for anybody who's looking to transition their child to a group home or might have that somewhere far down the road, but kind of in the back of your head. I mean, I think as a parent, that is probably a huge burden and
Yes.
something that is considered from early age. Um,
Yes. You're kind of dreading it, but you have to
yeah,
think about it. You have to
yeah,
think
it's
about
something
what the
to
plan is.
anticipate and plan for. So that just gives you a little peek into how Alec arrived and settled into Utah. But we wish you all the best in your decision making as you plan and make, as you will, the best decision for your child, whatever that may be. Thank you for joining us today, and don't forget to check us out on social media. You can find us at Piece by Piece, that's PIECE, Piece by Piece Autism Podcast. Until next time, talk to you later.